$129 required. Best mobile network in the U.S. based on analysis by Ookla of Speed Test Intelligence data 1H 2025. Visit T-Mobile.com.
The West isn't just a place, it's a feeling. And this January 10th through the 25th, the National Western Stock Show presented by Common Spirit Health brings the heart of the West to Denver. So saddle up for 16 days of rodeo action, family fun, and championship livestock. This is where tradition meets excitement. This is who we are. We are the West. Tickets available at nationalwestern.com.
Whatever you're looking for when you head out into the wild, keep an open mind. Sometimes the real treasure is the journey itself. Sure enough, there's treasure out there. Sometimes it's something you didn't expect to find. And more often than not, it's as simple as the memories you make. Make some memories of your own with a new vehicle from Corwin Toyota. Family driven for over 100 years.
What if you could have reliable and intelligent Wi-Fi? And get this, what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years? That's the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. 5 years of Wi-Fi that boosts speeds to the devices that need them most. That finds and fixes problems before you even notice them. Like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a sixth sense. And that keeps you gaming in the fast lane, even when the whole family's banking on bandwidth. All your devices working in perfect harmony for 5 whole years. And here's the best part. No annual contracts, no hidden fees, and our best equipment included. Hey, let's face it, a lot can change in 5 years. Kids grow taller, dreams grow bigger. But your Wi-Fi? It would stay reliable and the price would stay put. The Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Xfinity. Imagine that. Select plans only. Restrictions apply.
A careless driver caused your crash. Medical bills are piling up, and you might not be able to work. Life just got a lot more expensive, and you don't know what to do. At Berg Simpson, your consultation is absolutely free. We'll explain your legal options at no cost to you. Help starts with a phone call to us.
If you've been injured, call Berg Simpson for free now at 303-790-2525. 303-790-2525. BergSimpson.com. Good lawyers changing lives. It's not just a slogan, it's who we are.
Brandon Stokely from my friends at Roller Auction, leader in Colorado auctions for over 40 years. They conduct over 150 auctions every year, selling tens of thousands of items at the price you set. Auctions are held regularly for Colorado government agencies, and they always have big-ticket items at great prices. That's why I love Roller Auction. And almost all bidding is conducted online in real time, and it's open to the public. Anyone can participate. Check back regularly. New auctions are added weekly. Be the first to know about new auctions available for bidding when you sign up for email notifications. Go to rollerauction.com/thefan.
HelloFresh makes home cooking nutritious, delicious, and exciting. You excited when you get those freezer-burnt, pre-packaged meals in the mail? I know I'm not. Go to HelloFresh.com to explore plans and menus because nothing hits like home cooking.
Hey, Mark Schlereth here. A new year doesn't always call for something new. Sometimes it calls for something better. If your home would be more comfortable with better windows or new siding, Gravina's Window Center of Littleton can help. Right now, save 25% on Infinity replacement windows and 20% off James Hardy siding with 12 months no-interest financing. Call them 303-794-0490 to schedule your free in-home visit or visit windowsforyourhome.com and say this is the year your home feels better.
Catch Telestrator Tuesday weekly on Stokely and Evans with Mark Schlereth, where Stink or Stoke dive into the past weekend's games with a coach's eye, using insights into what went right and wrong on critical plays. Telestrator Tuesdays, powered by Colorado Credit Union. Love where you live, love where you bank.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, your grief is unique, but you are not alone. You always have a place at
DenverSports tonight on this Thursday night in the Mile High City. He's Anilo Pirro. I'm Will Peterson. We will roll with you for the next hour. Feels like a Friday, not gonna lie. Broncos had everything moved up a day this week. We heard from Sean Payton. He made his final comments before Broncos and Bills. But it's a Thursday that feels like a Friday because the game won't be here on Saturday as opposed to Sunday. Let's begin there. Anilo, how do you feel about Broncos and Bills being the very first one of the divisional weekend? Do you like, hey, I'm ready, here we go, my team's playing? Or would you prefer they were in the Sunday late slot like the Rams and the Bears are and let the anticipation build throughout the weekend?
Yeah, at first I was a little maybe not taken aback is the right word. I thought they would play on Sunday just because they were the 1 seed and you want to build up that anticipation if you're the NFL. But I understand it a little bit more now with the days off versus the other teams. And I'm at the point now, man, where I'm just ready for football. Broncos football in particular. Like, I've been at Broncos Park powered by Common Spirit every single day this week. Tomorrow's the one day that we will not be there. I got to do laundry, catch up on my life, right? But I'm just like ready for this game on Saturday. And I'm happy that it's actually the first game of Saturday and not Sunday so we can just get right to it.
Yeah, no, I am too. And I'm glad it's not the late night game, the primetime game. Well, that would have been fun and given folks more time to tailgate and all that stuff. It would have gone into the wee hours of the night. And I'm just glad we'll know by 6 o'clock Saturday. We will know whether or not they're going to the AFC title game or if they are cleaning out their lockers, which is a depressing reality. But all 8 teams need to be prepared to have locker clean out day because that's what happens in the NFL. When it ends fast, man. It ends really fast, and there is a finality to it. I actually heard Troy Aikman talking about it on Monday Night Football. You got to win at least one playoff game, right? If you lose, the suddenness in which it ends, and there was a lot of heartbreak during Wild Card Weekend. I mean, all those games outside of the Monday Nighter were pretty much excellent. I guess Sunday night wasn't great either, but the first 4, came down to the absolute wire, and you can see it on the players' faces on the losing side. Just being one and done in this tournament after grinding out since early July, it is a cold, cold reality that Broncos country knows. You know, we've gone one and done before, kind of famously a couple times or infamously a couple times. I don't want this 2025 team, man, to be added to those lists. I hope next Thursday, when you and I are sitting here, we're talking about an AFC title game, and we're not talking about, well, here's what Greg Penner said to wrap up the season, or here's what George Payton said to wrap up the season. You got to win one, man. You got to win one. The 14 was awesome, but the 14, I'm not saying it'll be invalidated, but the 14 will come with a big asterisk if you go one and done this weekend.
Yeah, it comes at you quick, right? I mean, just look at the Jacksonville Jaguars, a team that was riding high with their big wins, and that comes crashing and burning, and Liam Cohen up there. I mean, it happens in the blink of an eye, and you know when it really started to settle in for me? I believe it was last week going into the Charger game. It may have been at practice the week prior where Sean kind of made the off-the-cuff comment of, like, we've got like a month left with this group, right? And that's like a month and a half if you go all the way to the Super Bowl and see how that plays out. But that was kind of my first thought in my mind of, like, yeah, like this is coming to a close regardless of how this season ends for the Broncos. Some of the guys that are in this locker room playing for this team are not going to be there next season. And so you hope the Broncos took advantage of the bye week. Cortland Sutton talked about that extensively at the podium this week. Bo Nix as well. They were in there getting some light workouts in. And I was talking about with Andrew Mason of, like, okay, if they win, here's what happens. If they lose, here's what happens, right? And this might be the last opportunity, hopefully not, that we get to see from and hear from these guys for quite some time. But they got to go out there and get the job done on Saturday.
Yeah, they definitely do. And the fact that their next week is just so up in the air, preparing for an AFC title game, the media will all flock down here to Denver. I even think about the little things. You know, when you watch the press conferences, you just see the normal Broncos backdrop. If they go to the AFC title game, they change those things out for a giant AFC championship game backdrop. I vividly remember Peyton Manning talking in front of those things in 2013 and 2015. Sure, it's all about the Super Bowl. I get it. And the Super Bowl is the ultimate dog and pony show. But the NFL does really do it up starting next week. This week is kind of business as usual. But if you get past this week and you're in their version of the Final Four, it just ramps up to a whole new level in terms of the magnitude, the feeling around the facility, all that. You mentioned Sean Payton saying we have a month left. He actually said that last Friday. He said that 6 days ago. And I'm sitting there, same reaction as you, going, man, that's quick. And then the little voice in your head that you don't want to listen to says, it's only a month left if they go to the Super Bowl.
Right.
It could be a week left if they come up short, 8 days in the case of when Sean made the comment to when the season could end. But I think that's why the anxiety starts to kick in a little bit for Broncos country. I think Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're just like, hell yeah, we're playing the Bills. Let's go. I'm ready to run through a wall. And I think Thursday, Friday, and then really Saturday morning, it's nail-biting time, man. That's when it's going to ramp up in terms of the magnitude of the football game and also just how close most people think the football game is going to be. If you're a diehard Broncos fan, which a lot of people are at this station and almost everyone who is listening is right now, the next 48 hours can't go fast enough Because, yeah, you're thinking about your family and your job and your life. You're also thinking about the Broncos an awful lot.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the meme that goes around for these big games on social media, but I believe it's from Rick and Morty, and it's like I think it's Morty who's sitting on the bed with his phone, and it's like the girl on the other side of the picture, like he's probably texting other girls, and then you flip the slide, and it's like score predictions and the game time and different players' snapshots. Like, it is very much living and breathing in the hearts and the minds and the souls of Broncos country and also Bills Mafia. You know, they're feeling the same thing that Broncos country is feeling, and so there's a lot of anticipation, which is a double-sided sword. Sometimes you love it, sometimes you hate it, but going back to where we kind of started the show, the fact that we're the first game of the day, you get an opportunity to settle in and win or lose, the fact that you don't have to go to work the next day, right? You've got Sunday to recover, do whatever you got to do. I think that makes it a little bit more exciting. But yeah, tomorrow, like I said, I'm going to keep myself distracted. It's laundry, it's grocery shopping, it's going on a walk, and it's just killing time to get to the entree, which is Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, as they like to say, two more sleeps until the Broncos and Bills. Brian from Thornton chimes in on the RamosLaw.com text line 303-713-1043. He says, hey, fellas, I love that the Broncos are the first game. I cannot wait. I don't like it when it's the last game of the weekend because it's the highlight of my weekend. I'm ready to go. Yeah, I'm with you. You know, there's some notion that, oh, it's nice if you're the last game because then you can say only 5 teams can win the Super Bowl, right? Because you know the 3 that are through and then you're 2, but no one remembers who finishes 5th. They remember who finishes 1st, and sometimes the runner-up as well, and the only way to do that is to beat Buffalo this weekend. Here with Sean Payton today, talking about sort of the anticipation and excitement around the building and if the players are starting to understand the magnitude.
I feel like certainly it felt like a playoff week, practice week, different than, and it should, but it felt different. And I think they get it. And so, yeah, but you're in that early portion of the process. And so, you know, it's a great opportunity.
It's a great opportunity. And my favorite part of that, of course, I like that it felt like a playoff week. I think that's critical, that the intensity is ramped up. It doesn't feel like business as usual. It shouldn't feel like business as usual. It's not business as usual. This isn't week 4 against the Raiders, right? Yeah, that's an important game in your 17-game journey, but this is literally one and done. I think my favorite part, though, Anilo, was he says, I think they get it. I think they get it. Because you always hear about athletes, once they've hung it up and they've retired, talk about regret. And I think sometimes that regret is not living in the moment of, look in the mirror and tell yourself this is the biggest game of your life, because it is for 90% of these guys. You know, maybe not the Greenlaws and the Hufungas who played in a Super Bowl, but for 90% of these guys, this is the biggest football game of their life. So it's encouraging to hear the head coach say it felt like a playoff week, and I think the guys get it.
Well, 2 points on that. Andrew Mason wrote about it earlier this week on DenverSports.com about how there's not necessarily that happy to be here mentality that you maybe saw or sensed from this Broncos team last year. And I think that's fair, right? They had to back into the playoffs, get that win against the Kansas City Chiefs. And look, the Buffalo Bills were a much better team last season than they were this season. Now you're the 1 seed, 14-win regular season. I think it's about legitimizing what you did in the regular season and shutting the haters up and the doubters up along the way. The second point to that, you can check out this video on the Denver Sports Instagram, TikTok, YouTube as well. Mace asked Jonathan Cooper how long the loss from last year sat with him.
Yeah.
And Cooper kind of like looks around the room, right? He looks right into the camera. He says, it still sits with me. And then gives like this menacing chuckle. I highly recommend you guys go check that out on our social media, because that, I think, speaks to the energy in this locker room, specifically from the defensive guys. If they still have that bad taste in their mouth from last year, and again, it's not exactly apples to apples with respect to the two teams, but there is something to the point of going out there and facing a team that bounced you from the playoffs last year, another year stronger and wiser.
Well, and this is why I love doing the show with you. I mean, I enjoy doing it with Cello and James and Dante and everyone else who rotates through here, but I like doing it with you on Thursdays because you are in the Broncos locker room. I always like to ask you, but this week more than ever, I love the Cooper story. Give me a vibe check. Where's the team's head at? You were down there today, fewer than 48 hours or just about 48 hours to kick off. How you feeling that the players are feeling going into this game?
Yeah, and I'll tell you the same thing that I think I've mentioned most of these weeks is they're very even-keeled, which is, I think, exactly what you want to see. And I forget which player it was, the podium. It may have been Surtain or Sutton or maybe even Bo, and a combination of Sean, of like some of the reporters are trying to float out that revenge narrative. And they're not really buying that, right? And Sean said today, you know, it's a different team, both for the Broncos and the Buffalo Bills. I think there's a certain level of reflection of what happened a year ago, but I don't think that's their motivating factor.
So it does sit with Cooper, but also it's not just like, well, I got to beat the Bills because of last year. It sits with me because it's the team that knocked me out.
And I also think the thing from Cooper is like that's a defensive lineman mentality, right? A guy that's going to go out there and wreak havoc and upset the quarterback. Like that is what you want to hear out of your defensive lineman. Did not have the opportunity to talk to JFM this week, but I would imagine that the conversation, like he's always been a great soundbite this season. So I think that's the identity of the defensive line. But Mike McGlinchey was very well worded this week, and the same demeanor, the same energy, same with Nick Bonito even to a certain extent. Like these guys are just very focused on themselves, and I think that's what you want from a team like this, because sometimes you see teams get too revved up. We'll see what happens with the Bears this week, and it felt like that Packers game last week was their Super Bowl division rival, how they came back in that game. This Broncos team is focused on controlling what they can control.
Yeah, and it's also not the Super Bowl. As much as it feels like the Super Bowl, it should be business as usual. You're the 1 seed, they're the 6 seed. You're supposed to be in the AFC title game. You are supposed to handle business. You got all these advantages, a week off, the game at Empower Field at Mile High for a reason, because your regular season was so spectacular. You got to capitalize on it. And you mentioned Sean, I thought it was one of his best answers of the day, talking about if he brings up last year's playoff loss to Buffalo.
I really haven't brought up last year's playoff game. Look, I think it was a different team, and looked at the film, and certainly it's in the cut-ups. I think that what's at stake is like if you're an NFL professional athlete or coach, or man, if you can't get excited to get to the next game and know where you're at, I think I think our focus is more on the things that we know to be true and making sure we're trying to practice those in these 3 days. What we know to be true, turnovers, what we know to be true, the fundamentals, what we know to be true early on. Those are the things that we can control. That's really been more the focus, and that's a good question, but I don't. Let's say we were playing a team that had beaten us this year, then it might be a little, but it's a different team, than last year.
I love it. I mean, obviously it's been well documented that the roster is 80 to 85% the same, but I think that last portion was key, that, if it had been the Colts or the Chargers or Jacksonville, a team that beat Denver earlier this year, it might feel a little more different, because this was literally the same roster that lost to that team. This is guys have come and gone, and you've added key free agents. You've had some departures. You've got a whole new draft class in here too. This can't just be all about, what happened in Orchard Park last year. This has to be about this year's version of the team. And also, he hinted it in there, like, if you can't get excited for this, why are you doing this job, right? Like, this is what you live for. This is what kids play football in the backyard for, who are now in the NFL. These are the moments they imagine. They're going to have something like 40 million people watch this game on Sunday or on Saturday. If you can't get excited now, then why are you playing pro football? I think is what Sean Payton was getting at.
Yeah, you're in the wrong business if you're not revved up and ready to go for this game. And you mentioned Hufanga and Greenlaw. Like, they've been in this position before, but they've never won a chip. And I think they're a bit exclusive to the rest of the guys, for a majority of those guys in this room. And I go back to Garrett Bowles after that game against the Los Angeles Chargers where they, shored up their playoff position. Cortland Sutton as well. You saw Justin Simmons this week on social media talking about how, and Garrett was the guy who said we're the last two standing, right? From all the Vic Fangios and the Vance Josephs as head coach and the Drew Locks and every quarterback under the sun that has been here, for those guys, it means a little bit, I don't want to say a little bit more, but there's a different appreciation for getting this far, but also for, a lot of these young guys, Bo Nix, RJ Harvey, Evan Ingram, right? All of these guys are looking to accomplish something that they haven't really accomplished in their professional careers. Obviously, Bo had some good level of success at the collegiate level, but this is a team that has they're wise beyond their years, is probably the best way that I could describe it, because they feel like a veteran team in the way they're going about their business this week and the whole season.
That's obviously encouraging to hear. And do you know how many playoff wins Garrett Bowles has in his career? 0.
Goose egg.
Cortland Sutton, 0. I mean, not only do they not have a ring or a Lombardi, they don't have a single playoff win.
Not even a home playoff game. That changes on Saturday.
Yet no one who played in the AFC title game on the road to Super Bowl 50 is still on the team. Brandon McManus, still in the league, obviously had a very...
For how long?
Yeah, exactly. Very tough day kicking the ball. Actually, I know Kevin Kistner has some beef with Brandon. It's mostly in jest, but I do hope for his sake that's not his last game, and I have a bad feeling that may be his last game in the NFL.
Yeah, that was a spectacle to watch. I was with some buddies in my apartment. I was like yelling. I think I scared my upstairs neighbors because I was just like perplexed at, a guy who's been automatic. And look, he's had an ego in years past. He'd be the first person to tell you that when he was here with Denver. But I don't know. Sometimes the kicking position gets desperate at times. You see some of these teams go in and out of kickers. His body of work, I think, speaks for itself. Hopefully it's not his last dance, but we'll see.
Well,
that was ugly.
He cost him 4 points in the fourth quarter, and they lost by 4 points.
Yeah.
So it was a tough afternoon for Brandon McManus. But just to bring the conversation back to today, I mean, there's no one on this team, and honestly, not even that close, because Bowles was drafted in 17, and I think Cortland was 18. By that point, they were removed. I mean, we had the 16 season, and that was Justin Simmons' rookie year, where they went 9-7, barely missed the playoffs, whatever. But none of these guys know winning in Denver until this year. I mean, they got a taste of it last year, making the playoffs, being a 7 seed, but yeah, if you're Bowlesy and you're Sutton too, that's the thing is, Bo Nix going to have more cracks at this. This isn't a Bo Nix legacy game. It's important for Bo to play well, obviously. He needs to check out the box to get in his first playoff win. This is not a Bo Nix legacy game, though. He's going to have more chances. Now, he needs to seize this because you never know if they're going to be this good. You don't know if you're going to get another 1 seed. But Bo's 25. He's going to play in the league for quite some time. If I'm Garrett Bowles and I'm looking around and I'm Cortland Sutton and I'm looking around, yeah, they got nice, healthy contracts they're going to pay him the next couple of years. But they may be thinking, if I want to retire with a ring, I got to get it done this year. Not that they're going anywhere. I'm not predicting that. But they are probably the veterans who have the most sense of urgency and can pass that along to the rest of the locker room.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. Now, let me put on my sports talk radio take here. I think there's a legitimate case to make that this might be the Broncos' best chance to win a Super Bowl. Maybe even I don't want to go too far off into the future, but say this decade. Because I firmly believe Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are going to retool. They'll be competitive again. Joe Burrow will get back there. Josh Allen, this team will be healthy. Lamar Jackson with a new head coach. Who knows what's going to happen there? The AFC is as wide open as it has been in a long time, and I agree with you. I think the Broncos are going to be very good for years to come, but there's no guarantee they're the 1 seed. No. There's no guarantee that you don't want any of these guys to get hurt, but one injury here, one injury there, right? You have your starting defensive line. You have your starting quarterback. You have Garrett Bowles and Quinn Miners. I know Dobbin's been banged up, but I don't think it's a crazy idea to speculate, if we're putting on the tinfoil hat, this season, 2025-26, might be the Broncos' best chance at a championship in the next 5 years or so.
It could be. It could be, yeah. None of us have that crystal ball, that time machine. It can go either way. The famous example is Dan Marino. Got very good chances early and then never again. Kind of the opposite, though, is a guy like Patrick Mahomes, right? He loses a absolute heartbreaking AFC title game to Tom Brady in Arrowhead, and then he just decides to go to the Super Bowl every year and has 3 rings. And
even John Elway, what's the quote from his mom? After they went to the first 3 and he lost, do we have to go to the Super Bowl again?
Do we really have to go back?
Right? It's interesting. So again, that's just a food for thought here. But I've always said, at least once we got probably towards the end of that win streak after the Jacksonville game and then leading up to the playoffs, anything short of an AFC Championship game appearance would be very disappointing relative to how this season has gone.
Yeah, no, and I've maintained that as well. In fact, I think they've got to get to the Super Bowl. I don't know if they have to win it. I mean, obviously, I want them to win it. If you're going to go play in the damn game, you might as well win the whole thing. But 14-3 and just the comebacks. I mean, you would not be the 1 seed if you didn't do what you did against the New York Giants, right? On the day you were honoring Demaryius Thomas and the Super Bowl 50 team. You would not be the 1 seed if you didn't have the comeback in Philadelphia.
Benito in Washington
stopping the 2-point conversions. All the Will Lutz walk-off field goals. Obviously, had the one against the Giants, but also had the one against the Texans and another one in there as well. The Jets, he technically had a game-winning field goal. It wasn't at the buzzer, but he did put them up 13-11 in the fourth quarter, and then the defense held. It's been too special of a year for it to come to an end before an AFC title game at the bare minimum. And to me, it is the Super Bowl. I'll agree with you there. I think that conversation's been lost a little bit this week because it's Buffalo.
Yep.
And it's Josh Allen and it's Superman and it's Big Bad Scary Bills. If it was Pittsburgh, man, no one would blink. They'd be saying it's a colossal absolute failure if you lose this game. But maybe we do need to shift our mindset back to, Yeah, it'd be a colossal disappointment if you go 14-3 and you're the 1 seed and you can't win a stinking playoff game. I wouldn't want to be walking out of Mile High on Saturday night at 6 o'clock if it doesn't go their way. I vividly remember the stories about people walking out after the Raheem Moore game. I mean, everyone was a popsicle. It was negative 20 degrees. But just like the pure sadness and the dread. And it wasn't, drunk people yelling or anything like that. It was just people like they were walking out of a funeral. They were stunned. They couldn't believe what happened. Let's just hope Saturday night, 6 o'clock, it's a party as people leave in Power with giant Let's Go Broncos chants and the stadium shaking as everyone walks down. Because the opposite, I don't even want to live in that reality.
Yeah, and I don't want to have to turn on the 4-letter network and listen to all these haters be legitimized and these doubters that have been tearing the Broncos down all season. I mean, I listen to a lot of national sports talk radio, podcasts. I can't tell you the last time I heard like a dedicated segment to the Broncos. Like even this week, right? Because I try to see what the outside folks are thinking about. It's always Bills this, Bills that, Josh Allen, Superman. It's never about Broncos defense, Bo Nix, comeback kids, right? I don't. Maybe they reference it, but it's not a deep dive like you and I are doing right now. We've been doing throughout the course of the season, and so I want it selfishly for work reasons because the Broncos win is great for us, but I also want it for the city of Denver to go out there and legitimize what this season has been. And look, I've talked about it with you time and time again. I was skeptical entering this season, a lot more skeptical than most. They've proved me wrong. I'm on board, and that was just me trying to keep it a buck in a stack necessarily, but I just think there's a lot of people nationally, fans of different teams, that don't understand what this team is made of this season.
Well, and you're right. You haven't gotten dedicated Broncos segments. You will get a heck of a lot of dedicated Broncos segments on Sunday and Monday and Tuesday if they fall short, because it'll be a bunch of dudes taking victory laps saying, I told you so.
Right.
And that's not what anyone wants to hear. It's like, you're really going to talk about us for the first time all year because you want to say, I told you so? And I think the thing is, Anilo, those people didn't believe in September.
Nope.
I'm thinking of the Nick Wrights of the world with his ridiculous AFC West prediction. But the problem is 90% of them, and I'm not talking local, I'm talking national, they didn't believe in September. Oh, they also didn't believe in October. They didn't believe in November. They didn't believe in December. It's now January 15th, and they still don't believe. You know how you shut them up? You send Superman back to Buffalo with a big old L. That's how you shut him up.
It's always yeah, but when it comes to this Denver Broncos team. And I'm not harping on the national media because I'm not saying what they say is gospel, but like these are the guys and gals that are supposed to be like the leaders of the industry, right? The most respected, trusted voices of sports talk and sports conversation. And it's like to not even recognize what's happened this season. Now there's some. It's not everyone. It's not a complete putting everyone in one group here necessarily, but I just think it'd be awesome to wake up on Sunday morning and then listen to sports talk and all these national guys that have been picking the Bills all week and, it's destiny for the Bills and the Rams to meet in the Super Bowl to have to eat some crow.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. A little petty, but I'm here for it.
Jared chimes in the conversation we were having. He says, fellas, plus we have a QB on a rookie contract. Great point from Jared. Anilo was getting at, I don't know if they'll get another better chance than this to win the whole thing. And my perspective was it's only Bo's second year. I'm not guaranteeing 1 seed, but he's going to have more cracks at it. But I like what Jared said. And I know Marvin Mims, I believe, told Chris Thomason of the Denver Gazette something similar.
I was in that scrum.
Yeah, we were going to have to pay Bo at some point. And that's not Marvin trying to count Bo's bills. That's not Marvin being jealous. That's Marvin just being realistic. Quarterback's going to make $45, $50 million a year. Good for Bo. That's great. It's going to hurt the rest of the team when it comes to the cap. So to Jared's point on the text line and to your point, doing it when you have a rookie QB is massive. It's just massive to win a Super Bowl when you're not financially constrained to the quarterback, because that's rare in the NFL. The best teams in the NFL usually are paying their QB $50 million a year. That's not the case with the Broncos, and it won't be the case for the next couple seasons.
I'm with you. And again, going back to that point that we made, it's you got to take what's in front of you. And I still cannot. I thought Sean Payton was crazy during training camp when he said there's a handful of teams that I've coached in my career that can win a Super Bowl. I think this is one of them. Well, now's the opportunity to continue to push that narrative and show that you weren't just on some wild takes here, that you truly did believe in that. And you have an opportunity to do it, man. And we'll probably get into this in the next segment as well. Like, I think this Denver Broncos team lines up pretty nicely against the Buffalo Bills with the exception of a couple positions. So We've seen the line move back and forth. They opened as favorites for about 30 seconds, moved to dogs. Now it appears to pick them or Broncos back to the slight favorite. It's going to be a tough game. I don't see this being a blowout one way or the other.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to the injury report. Some good news on Dre Greenlaw to pass along. And Sean Payton, he mentioned it out loud. He's going to run it on his play sheet.
Boy.
What does it all mean? We'll dive into it next.
Does Sean Payton have a few tricks up his sleeve for the Buffalo Bills?
It is time for you to pull out the bag of tricks. It's time for you to show Buffalo something that they hadn't seen all season long, and even going back to last year with Bo Nix. There are plays, and I believe it's Marvin Mims plays, that you can put out there for the Broncos that Buffalo hasn't seen, and it's to your advantage to do that this week.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Hi, Dan Cicchini with Dunright. Great pricing options and bank financing? You bet. Kitchens, baths, counters and floors, finished basements, windows and doors. Done right since 1985. You have our word, we'll treat you right at Done Right. Visit drhi.com. Thanks.
Is your money doing everything it can for you? Like automatically pushing more of your money to savings every day?
I don't think so.
Then switch to Huntington Bank. And let's get more from money. Huntington Bank. Welcome. Eligibility requirements apply. Some features may require enrollment.
I wish I'd gotten treated for my erectile dysfunction sooner. Men, I hear this all the time from our patients. This is Jeff for the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, and if ED is a problem in your life, resolve to get it treated today and stop having it affect you and the one you love. ED is simply a medical condition, and it's fully treatable. And at the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, we have treatments that are effective in well over 90% of cases, which means if you're like most guys, your ED will be a thing of the past. In fact, you could be having great sex within a day or two of your first appointment, and you'll likely find you're performing like you haven't in a long time. It's the new year. Resolve to get your ED treated and change your life. Call us at the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic. Your initial visit is only $99. It includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 720-440-7900 or go to RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. We have 5 offices across the Front Range to serve you. Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, a Promenic restorative health practice.
I lost 60 pounds with soda, and the weight came off naturally. The biggest difference was having my own nutritionist, someone I could text anytime with questions. SodaWeightLoss.com. They deliver fast, easy, convenient weight loss with no hunger, no guesswork, and clients routinely look and feel 10 years younger. That's why they have nearly 9,000 positive Google reviews and thousands of before and after photos to prove it. And right now, join Soda, and your partner joins for free. Go to SodaWeightLoss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Soda Weight Loss is, say it with me, state of the art.
The right financial strategies can make a huge difference, especially if you're nearing retirement. Adam Mueller talks retirement strategies with Mile High Money. Saturday mornings at 8 on Denver Sports 104.3, The Fan.
Hey Broncos country, it's Terrell Davis here. It's a new year. It's time to work on a new you.
At Fitness Gallery, we have deals everywhere, up to 50% off. Visit one of Fitness Gallery's 7 convenient locations from Colorado Springs to Fort Collins. We have you covered.
Hey, the cold weather is here. Stoke here from my friends at ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Has another company told you that you need a new furnace? Time to throw in the challenge flag. Rocks Heating and Air offers no obligation, free second opinions. And don't forget about heat pump rebates. They've never been better. Up to $13,500 only at ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Now play that Jeep.
HVAC service, installation, repair. ROX Rocks Heating and Air.
Hey, Colorado, when you're in the market for a new truck or SUV, head to Johnson Auto Plaza. Explore their huge selection of new Chevy, Buick, and GMC trucks and SUVs. Find your new truck or SUV at JohnsonChevyBuickGMC.com. Stop in and experience the Johnson advantage that so many now know. Johnson Auto Plaza is your truck and SUV headquarters. Just north of E470 on Highway 85, JohnsonChevyBuickGMC.com.
If you've been injured in an auto accident, Dr. Joseph Ramos is both a doctor and a lawyer, combining legal and medical expertise. He can help. Ramos Law, the official injury law firm partner of the Denver Broncos. RamosLaw.com.
Download
Download to see if you qualify for Albert Instant Advance. Not all customers will qualify. Transfer fees may apply. No Albert subscription is required for Instant Advance. Please see the Albert app or albert.com for subscription pricing. Subscriptions can be canceled at any time.
Kylie, what's wrong? I just got hit with a car repair bill. I'm behind on rent, and I feel like I can never save any money.
Have you tried the Albert app? You can get up to a $1,000 advance fast to pay for car repairs, bills, rent, groceries, whatever you need. Plus, Albert can help you find ways to save and give you a custom budget to actually grow your money.
Albert can get me up to $1,000?
Exactly. But they do more than get you up to $1,000. Albert is your financial assistant, helping you budget, save, and spotting you money in a pinch.
I'm downloading Albert right now.
Download the Albert app and use promo code PLAN to get up to $1,000 for your bills, rent, groceries, and more. The Albert app helps you budget better and save more money so you reach your financial goals faster. Download the Albert app right now and use promo code PLAN to get up to $1,000. Use code PLAN to get up to $1,000.
HelloFresh makes home cooking nutritious, delicious, and exciting. You excited when you get those freezer-burnt, pre-packaged meals in the mail? I know I'm not. Go to HelloFresh.com to explore plans and menus because nothing hits like home cooking.
It's Denver Sports Tonight on Denver's Sports Station, 104.3 The Fan.
Love this text from the 5389 on the RamosLaw.com text line. I was there for the 2012 and 2014 divisional round losses. Complete devastation. Definitely 2012 and the double OT shocker was the worst. In my early 20s, beers turning to slushies. I was there 13 years ago when the awareness of Raheem Moore failed. Great text, depressing, but I was trying to paint a picture of what it's going to be like if they lose, so let's keep it glass half full. The same texter follows up. Luckily, I was also there in 2015 when we beat the Steelers in the divisional round, and in 2011 for Tebow to DT in OT. So I've seen the good, bad, and ugly. And yeah, think about the atmospheres. Just that stretch right in there, the stretch the texter outlined. 2011, you've got Tebow to DT, bedlam, mayhem. 2012, you have Raheem Moore, the kick in the you-know-what that was. 2013, party! We're going to the Super Bowl. Now, it didn't work out. But you won 2 playoff games and you went to Super Bowl 48. 2014. Think about this. You're playing the Colts in the divisional round. What happens 5 hours before kickoff? Jay Glazer reports that John Fox is going to take the Chicago Bears head coaching job. And we're going, what? Our head coach going into a divisional game has already lined up his next gig? Jack Del Rio lined up a gig. Adam Gase lined up a gig. Everyone was gone. And then I remember it got spun as John Elway just fired everyone. Well, he didn't fire everyone. They all left because they knew they were going to get fired by Elway. But point being, bad omen going into the game. And what happened against the Colts? They played totally flat. Andrew Luck came in here. And that was year 3 of Peyton Manning. And people are going, it's been fun. It's been an awesome ride. But is he ever going to get it done? And then, of course, the following year, you win 2 more home playoff games. The one against the Patriots just still gives me chills thinking about how many times Tom Brady got the football back. You go rewatch that 4th quarter, you forget. I mean, it was just Brady. They stop him. Broncos go 3 and out. Here's Brady. They stop him. Broncos go 3 and out. Here's Brady. Now, he finally broke through, and he scored a touchdown in the waning seconds, and I mean literally the final seconds. But the Broncos stopped the 2-point conversion and won 20-18 to go to Super Bowl 50. But just that period in time, how many celebratory wins and rip your heart out losses for people walking out of that stadium.
Yeah, it was up and down, right? Like a lot more up than down with respect to the season as a whole, right? But the endings were pretty sour. I might go back and watch that Patriots game there in 2015.
You have to. It's such a good rewatch.
Like, as you're talking about it, I'm like visualizing. I'm like, wow, I don't think I've seen highlights from that or just watched it in its entirety in quite some time. That might be the way to get me pumped up for Saturday afternoon.
What's the trivia on this that I like to ask people? Broncos scored 2 offensive touchdowns that day. They won 20-18. 2 field goals, 2 offensive touchdowns. Both scored by the same player. Who scored the 2 touchdowns for the Broncos in that AFC title game?
I'm going back to high school AP right now.
And people can play along in the car.
It's an awkward name. It's not like a DT.
No, it's not a household
name. It's not a huge name.
But he was a good. Okay, I'm not going to give a hint because Dante wants to get in here. I'm not going to give you the position.
Dante loves his trivia.
Dante's got a guess.
I think it's a tight end.
It is a tight end.
I don't know if he was on the team.
Julius Thomas.
No, I don't. I think like Jacob Tammy.
You're in the ballpark. Joel Dreesen is friends with a lot of guys on the station. It wasn't Joel. It wasn't Jacob Tammy.
Was it Tyler?
Owen something. Oh, the Texan that became a Bronco. Owen something. It was last name.
Oh
Owen.
my gosh.
Owen Daniels.
Owen
There you
Daniels.
go.
Owen Daniels scored both touchdowns that day for the Broncos. The
Wow.
first one,
What are the odds on that?
He just runs a fly up the middle, and Payton hits him. And the second one was in the corner of the end zones in the south stands. He gets 2 feet in right after Von Miller picked off Tom Brady, by the way. Broncos took a nice, comfortable lead. And then, of course, the ending, just a nail-biter for sure. All right, Anilo, you brought up kind of X's and O's of this game. Give folks who are just tuning in a refresher of sort of your big question entering Broncos and Bills on Saturday.
Yeah, I think what I'm kind of just at a glance here, right? This isn't any rocket science necessarily, but when I look up, okay, Broncos wide receivers versus Bills wide receivers and defensive line versus defensive line, and I understand that Buffalo's got a pretty solid unit there up front, but I think the only two position groups where Buffalo has a definitive advantage over the Denver Broncos is the most obvious one, right? The quarterback position. Look, we all love Bo Nix, but Josh Allen is a reigning defending league MVP. And then it's running back. You'll take James Cook, especially this season, over R.J. Harvey or Jaleel McLaughlin, whatever dynamic it might be. Now, it'd still be the case even if J.K. Dobbins were playing, but Dobbins, before he got hurt, was an upper echelon running back in the league prior to the injury. But the reason I say that is you look at everything else. And again, I know it's the most important position in quarterback, but give me the Broncos secondary, give me the Broncos D-line, give me the Broncos O-line, the wide receiver room. On paper, this Broncos team lines up pretty nicely against Buffalo.
Yeah, so they're the better team, but Buffalo has the best player.
Yeah,
I've heard that
the
narrative.
most important player.
Yeah, I've heard that narrative a few times. But I like what you're saying, that if you literally go through it position by position, you would take the Broncos in like 10 of the 12 position groups.
I would.
And that's ultimately, that should be enough to win you the game. The problem is they have the ultimate X factor in Josh Allen.
Yeah, and then what concerns me about this matchup for the Denver Broncos is a couple of different things. Let's start with the Bills on defense. They play a lot of zone defense, and that has arguably been the toughest defense, read and react zone defense that Bo Nix had to go up against, not just this season, but going back to his rookie year. So I think Bo thrives a lot more off man-to-man versus zone defense where you're kind of having to process information in real time. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. But then on top of it, what really has me more concerned, because we're talking about Josh Allen and we're talking about James Cook and this superhero dynamic, is I actually think, like, let's take the Cincinnati Bengals at full strength from a couple of years ago. I actually think in a weird way, this year's Broncos defense would match up better with that version of the Bengals with all of those vertical threats, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. I think this Buffalo offense can present some problems to this Denver defense because of swing passes to the outside to running backs, hunting over the middle for Alex Singleton and Dre Greenlaw at the linebacker position, which is probably the weakest group for the Broncos on defense. Weirdly enough, despite all the injuries that Buffalo has, I think the strengths that still remain, Kincaid, Keon Cole, actually profiles well to the Broncos' weaknesses.
Interesting, yeah. And we sort of batted around a little bit. Would you put Pat Surtain on Dalton Kincaid?
You might have to.
Yeah, we saw him on Travis Kelce, Christmas night in Kansas City,
Austin
particularly
Knox.
down the stretch. Knox is a threat too. Knox was definitely the bigger name a couple years ago in fantasy football, and Kincaid's really come on the scene. But Khalil Shakir caught 12 passes against the Jaguars, but he went for 82 yards. It was a lot of screens and dump-offs, and I'm not dismissing catching 12 passes. That's far too many passes for one wide receiver to catch into a game. But, man, to be a fly on the wall on those defensive meetings in terms of do they want PS2 shadowing Dalton Kincaid would be really interesting. I would love to know what the Broncos' plan is, and, of course, it will reveal itself here in about 48 hours. All right, injury report. I teased that. Let's get to it. Good news. Both John Franklin Myers and Dre Greenlaw were full participants today. They do not have game designations. Dre Greenlaw only played 8 games this year, but he will play for Denver on Saturday, and JFM will be out there as well. In fact, the only guys that are out are Drew Sanders and Lucas Kroll, but they're both on IR, so they're not technically on the 53, so they're not going to get activated in time. Everyone on the 53, and I know people are going to say, what about J.K. Dobbins? What about Brandon Jones? They're not on the 53. They're on IR. Everyone on the 53 is healthy for this game. Yeah, we'd love to have Dobbins. We'd love to have Jones. I get it. But, man, Anilo, Sean Payton loves taking victory laps on health. Once again, going into the most important game of the season, the Broncos are a very healthy football team. Very encouraging injury report that came out just a couple hours ago.
Yeah, you literally could not ask for much more or anything more. Not much more, anything more. I mean,
you could ask for J.K. Dobbins if I want to be
but
greedy.
Of realistic expectation, right?
Yes.
Because we knew that Dobbins was going to be banged up, Brandon Jones as well. But like of the guys that were maybe on the fringe, right, the Drake Greenlaws of the world, the fact that they're all healthy, there's no excuse necessarily because of injuries right now.
And what do you make of that notion we were talking about with the fellas at the end of the drive of, Greenlaw, he's played 8 games. He had the pick in Washington. He got suspended for backing up his teammate. It's not been a real memorable first year in orange and blue, but he can totally wipe that narrative out if he goes out there and has 3 straight games with 12 tackles and a forced fumble or maybe a sack on a blitz or a big hit that blows someone up on a third down that's perfectly legal, but it jars the football out. Like, Dre Greenlaw, you are worth every single penny if you play your best football over the next month.
Look, that 31-7 loss from Denver last season against Buffalo, I think, is a large reason why they brought in Dre Greenlaw along with Talanoa Hufanga. Now, Hufanga's been brilliant for this team. I mean, a hard-hitting safety, something that this Denver Broncos defense really need. I would say Dre Greenlaw's been fine. I don't think he's been all that good. Maybe some moments, obviously, think back to Washington, but the injuries, you mentioned the first thing you think of with Dre Greenlaw respect to his season so far is the suspension. But to your point, Dre Greenlaw goes out there, turns back the clock, and plays like the San Francisco 49ers version of Dre Greenlaw. That's all that matters. That's really what you brought him in here for. I understand, like I said, it's been an up and down season for him, injuries and otherwise. But if Greenlaw goes out there and lays the wood down, man, I mean, that's what you want from this guy. That's literally 90% of the reason why you brought this guy in.
Yeah, you paid him to help you win a Super Bowl.
Yes, exactly.
And that's what he has a great opportunity to do over the next month. And you bring up last year, James Cook went for 120 yards and a touchdown. And the biggest stat, Buffalo possessed the ball for more than 41 minutes. The Denver defense could not get off the field. And Greenlaw was brought in specifically, it's 2nd and 10. Don't let James Cook go for 8. Hit him in the backfield and set up 3rd and 12. Much easier way to get off the football field.
And I'm glad you brought that up. I was talking about with Richie on the rundown earlier this week. I think if there was a game script or a template from the regular season that you want to see the Broncos try to deploy against Buffalo on Sunday, it was from about a month ago, maybe a little bit longer, against the Las Vegas Raiders. That second game against Las Vegas where, yes, the Broncos didn't put up a gazillion points, but they controlled that game. Time of possession, long drives, play offense by playing defense and have an 8-minute drive here, a 9-minute drive there, whatever it might be, and keep Josh Allen off the field. I think that's a recipe for success for Denver.
Yeah, chewing up the game clock will be massive on Sunday. Keep Josh on the bench. All right, we didn't get to the Sean Payton on his play calling, but really interesting answer, and you're going to want to stick around for it, and we'll hit it with you next.
Let's go, bring it out! Denver and Buffalo are locked in for a playoff rematch in the divisional round. Kick your football Sunday off in style with Denver Game Day, powered by Common Spirit Health, official healthcare partner of the Denver Broncos. Live on Game Day starting at 10 a.m. Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Hey guys, your boy Steve here today about my long-term buddy Troy Hansford. And if you're thinking about selling your house for any reason, now might be the time to sell, still get top dollar. Believe it or not, my guy Troy is still offering his $5,000 guarantee. What is it, you ask? Well, if you can't sell your house at your price on your timeline that you agree upon beforehand, bam, going to cut you a check for $5,000. Who else makes the offer? Nobody I've ever heard of. And he makes that offer because he continues to spend a ton of money marketing his listings, has about 100 families approved and ready to buy right now. And if for any reason you need to sell right away, Troy can buy your house, all cash, and he can close in as little as 7 days. You have a house to sell, Troy probably has that perfect buyer for you right now, waiting for you to pick up the phone and to call him. Call Troy, get your home sold for the most money. That's 720-900-4433, 720-900-4433. Troy Hansford of RE/MAX Professionals, a Colorado licensed broker. Some restrictions do apply. Want to sell your house? Then call my buddy Troy, 720-900-4433.
If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed tax professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Every day, penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-783-8055. That's 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Between groceries, travel, and higher prices, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, especially if you're already relying on credit cards to cover the basics. If that debt is piling up, you're not alone. If you're a homeowner, you might have considered reaching out to American Financing, but hesitated because you don't want to give up your low mortgage rate. That's why American Financing created the Smart Equity Loan, a simple, smart way to get your finances back on track without giving up your low mortgage rate. Unlike a HELOC, which can fluctuate with the market, the Smart Equity Loan offers a fixed rate, so you'll have one predictable monthly payment. It lets you use your home's equity to pay off high-interest debt, free up your cash flow, and still keep your existing mortgage intact. There are no upfront fees to find out how much you can save. Call 303-695-7000. That's 303-695-7000, or visit them online at AmericanFinancing.net. NMLS 182334, NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
Men, the new year is here, and if you're like many of us, you're ready to improve your health. But if you're feeling low energy, not sleeping well, or not seeing results in the gym, keeping that resolution can be tough. This is Jeff for the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, and if those symptoms sound familiar, we can likely help. They often point to low testosterone, and treating low T is what we do. But this year, we're also helping men go further with 4 targeted body composition plans featuring growth hormone peptides, NAD+, GLP-1s, PDA, and more, designed to boost energy, support metabolism, enhance recovery, and accelerate fat loss. With our low T treatments combined with our body composition programs, most men notice real improvements: more energy, better focus, improved sleep, stronger workouts, and often a renewed sex drive as well. So call us. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on treatment the same day, your visit is free. Call 720-440-7900 or visit RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com.
Featured therapies are compounded and have not been evaluated nor approved by the FDA. Provider prescription required. See website for details.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code TRIP to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code TRIP for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code TRIP for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
This segment on 104.3 The Fan is brought to you by TradeGen Wealth, your trusted local fiduciary advisors.
Get ready for every Broncos game with Super Bowl 50 champion Brandon Marshall as he joins the drive every Friday afternoon at 4:45 exclusively on Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Thanks to Corwin Toyota Boulder. Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. DenverSports.com and the Denver Sports app. Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan presents Denver Sports Tonight.
So a reflective Sean Payton today as he addressed the media for the last time before Broncos and Bills get going on Saturday. We all know by this point in the week that Buffalo struggles against the run. The problem is Broncos don't love to run the ball, and Bo Nix led the league in passing attempts. That's not Bo's fault. Those are what the plays were called. But combined without Dobbins, Anilo, we'll get to Sean here in a second, but I want a quick thought from you. Can you picture the Broncos actually committing to the run, or is that something that sounds nice to say on Thursday, but it's not going to actually happen here in 2 days?
Can I picture it? Sure, I could picture anything, right? You know, you think long and hard enough. Do I think it's actually going to happen? No. Do I think it should happen? Yeah. I think you want to see a more balanced attack. I was talking with a former Bronco earlier this week where, And Stink, I think, said it as much in the video that I did with him yesterday. He wants to see, I want to say, like 30 rushing attempts from this Denver Broncos offense, because you saw what Jacksonville did last weekend against the Buffalo Bills. I mean, Travis Etienne and their backup running back's name is spacing my mind right now, but they were able to get some...
maybe? Is it Tootin?
And they were getting chunk plays, right? They were able to run on that Buffalo Bills defense. And again, going back to the point that I made right before the break, if you want to control the clock, control the flow of the game, and keep Josh Allen on the sideline, the running game is going to be integral to that.
Well, listen to Sean Payton today talking about how difficult it is to stick with the run game when it isn't working. You can tell a lot going through his mind. Very interesting answer.
Look, I'll make a note on the sheet, run it. It's important. The thing that I have to continue to, that changes as you get older, is you still have to be quick. Like, play just ran, next play. I said this, look, when I was younger, like, we'd run a reverse on the 8-yard line, and I think nothing of it. And as you get older, you think about all the ramifications and so I have to also remove that. It was said as you get older, maybe you don't drive in the rain at night. You begin to, I can't let that happen as a play caller. And sometimes that's something that I have to mentally make sure it's quick and decisive, and it's daring at the right time, not reckless, but those are things that I find that are challenges compared to when I was 33 in New York, or in my whatever. And part of that is being raised by a father who was in casualty claims and insurance, who we had no trampolines, we had no swimming pools, we couldn't ride motorbikes, we knew where every sharp edge was, and it was like and so, but anyway, I think that's the thing that I've got to focus on.
I mean, I love it. It's Sean talking about how he's become more risk averse as his life goes on and as his coaching goes on. And yeah, when I was a young whippersnapper, run it, reverse it, whatever. And now he's like overanalyzing every single decision. And he did tell us he's going to have run it on his play sheet. Lot to unpack there, Neela.
Yeah, and I looked it up while we were listening to that bite. Jacksonville, I know they lost the game, rushed for, checks my notes, 154 yards.
Pretty healthy total.
Pretty good last weekend for the Jacksonville Jaguars. But I believe it was Phil who said this towards the end of the drive. It's pretty vulnerable from Sean Payton. You don't usually get that candid, real feel into his mind. Like, usually he's pretty stern up there, has some fun, some banter back and forth at times. But I thought that was pretty telling from Sean. And maybe he's trying to manifest it and convince himself that I'm not saying convince himself, because I think he understands he needs to do that, but reinforce that thought by putting it out there publicly. Or maybe it's a smokescreen. Maybe it's a classic Sean. We're going to say we're going to pound the rock and this and that, and Bo's going to drop back to pass 40-plus times.
Right.
Could very well be that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know the over-under for Bo is like 33.5 passing attempts, and I don't give out advice, but it feels like he's going to throw the ball at least 35 times.
I think Dante's got to lean on that one.
Yeah.
We were chatting a little bit earlier.
It just because like you said, I can picture anything. If I close my eyes hard enough and really imagine, I can picture it. I guess I should have framed the question, is it a realistic picture, or do you feel like you're in a dreamland? I mean, if Jaleel McLaughlin and RJ Harvey combine for 30 carries, I will be stunned.
Me too. And you know what might force the hand of Sean Payton? We'll see how it shakes up on Saturday. It was very windy out there today. Like, I'm standing there by the podium, and it's like, right? So if there is wind that's a factor, maybe that forces the hand of Sean to run the ball a little bit more.
Well, and the updated high for Saturday is 37.
Ooh, football weather.
37 degrees. That's a high. Low of 18. So kickoff going to be just above freezing. You can bet. Fourth quarter, sun's down.
Oh, yeah.
You'll be below freezing, which it's not like you're playing a dome team. You wish it was Houston coming here or whatever. Buffalo's used to it, but that could be another thing. They've played in all 60-degree games this year.
Yep.
It's finally going to be cold for a playoff game. It's going to feel like playoff football.
Good omen or bad omen? right? With all the nice weather we've been having, the winds at Empower Field, we shall see. Buffalo's battle-tested. I like the Broncos in the game, though.
I think it's a good omen. It's about time it feels like winter around these parts. All right, it flew by. It was a blast. Congrats on everyone who got Owen Daniels on the text line. For Dante and Anilo, I'm Will. It's DST on the Fan.
Tune into The Rundown with Richie Carney every weekday at noon on YouTube, Facebook, or X. Presented in part by The Birdie Bar, Louisville's premier indoor golf bar experience. Check out this week's live music, trivia, and other fantastic events at thebirdie.bar on the web and Instagram. Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Hey guys, it's Mark Schlereth. I just made one of the best decisions of my life. I got rid of my glasses. I went to Cutarelli Vision and had refractive lens exchange, RLE. I wore glasses for distance vision, but I got to that inevitable point in life where I was always needing those reading glasses just to do a